Let's talk inserts. Now, tire inserts have been around for a while now, and they kind of fall into two camps. They're either the Huck Norris kind of fin strip variety, or they're the kind of the Cushcore, significantly more rigid, full kind of loop, kind of pool noodle type arrangement. And there's various flavors in between, densities of foam, profiles, yada, 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 yada. But they all essentially try and achieve the same thing. They're trying to give you protection from pinch flats and from damaging your rim, but they also do something else, which in my opinion is actually what they're best for. And that isn't puncture protection so much as dampening. Now, your tire is an air-filled, deformable volume. It's essentially an air spring. If you hit small rocks or chunder, that tire compresses and rebounds. And all we have is air pressure to adjust that. Different tires will react differently in different situations. Some have thicker carcasses, some have softer rubber, some are heavier, some are lighter, but that's all the dampening control we have, is just in the choice of the tire carcass essentially, until you put in an insert. Now, the insert itself is going to act a little bit like a volume spacer, in the same way that a volume spacer in a fork makes the fork more progressive as it compresses more aggressively. The same thing can be said of an insert in a tire. It's not going to change fundamentally how that tire feels, it's just going to make that tire work better. I've had really cheap, nasty, plasticky tires perform really well purely because there's an insert there. There's something adjusting the dampening characteristic of that tire. Some people use multiple Huck Norrises in the exact same way that you use multiple volume spacers to perfectly tune. Two in the rear, one in the front perhaps. Some people put a larger volume spacer, aka like a Cushcore type insert in the rear, and a thinner one like a Huck Norris in the front, because they need different characteristics from the front to the rear. Now, this isn't saying it doesn't give you that little bit of puncture protection. Sure does. When was the last time you had a puncture in your tire that came from a perfect kind of pinch flat snake bite caused by your rim impacting the tire? If you've totaled your tubeless setup, chances are you've either rolled off the rim and burped it, you've slashed the sidewall on some nasty rock, or you've ripped a knob off. Now, in all those situations, it's not really going to be the insert that saves you from that. You kind of like get a small pierce impact, sealant's going to fix it. If you get a larger kind of tear on part of the tread, you know, get an anchovy, stick that in there, hopefully that'll get you home and you can assess the tire later on. But a side slash, that's all about the carcass itself. Inserts aren't helping prevent those kind of incidents, but what it's doing is making the tire perform better when it's set up correctly. You get that air pressure sorted, then it works better as a damper. You're not going to be able to use the same pressure because you've decreased the air volume in the exact same way that if you use the same air pressure and you just throw in volume spacers, you can't expect the fork to behave in the same way or the shock to behave in the same way. So it will take a bit of time to adjust, to work out what pressure works. And you don't just say, I've got a Huck Norris, I'm going to drop 2 psi in every tire. It's going to be specific to each tire. And some tires I found work better with other types of inserts than others. It's going to be specific to each tire. So it's going to take a bit of time working out exactly what works for your tire setup and where you ride. Because where you ride has a massive impact on the type of tires and the pressures and the inserts you're going to use. If you're in a hard rock, shale, granite, slate, that's going to be really rough on tires. You might run a totally different setup than if you're riding other kind of natural trails that are mud, loam, roots, less hard, aggressive rock, less wearing on tires, but more squarish impacts from roots perhaps in some situations. You're going to have different tires for those places, and the exact same thing would apply to your inserts. One insert won't necessarily fit all scenarios. But I will say, having both run and made my own Huck Norris style insert and run the Cushcore style insert with the rim packs, that on the rear, if you're only going to run insert in your setup, Cushcore rim packed style insert in the rear tire for me works best. It is going to increase the rolling weight, but if you only were going to run one insert in the rear, then you're saving that in the front, and you might be able to run a slightly lighter carcass, for example. But that dampening that extra grip that you can get from running the lower pressure and having the tyre rebound in a different fashion when it kind of finds those square edges. Plus the extra protection on your rim, you know, it's worth the weight penalty. And if you're riding aggressive trail or enduro, that weight penalty is kind of second to kind of reliability and making sure you finish that race run or that you don't total that rim. I would definitely go with that. And if you're going to go with the lighter Huck Norris type situation, I've run that in cross-country hardtails and more hardcore hardtails, and I don't have a single wheel in my fleet that doesn't have at least one of them in. But on the full sus hard-hitting Spitfire, it's the Rimpack Sen Nudes. They've been in for a long time. They've done me very, very well. So I bring this up purely because I'm now fitting new rubber to the Spitfire. We're going with MSE gripper up front, single track out back. First time the collar and the cuffs have matched in a long time. So that's quite exciting in and of itself. But I had to make that insert choice. And we're going with the homebrew Huck Norris at the front and the Rimpack at the back. I'm going to set them up, see how they go. Fresh rubber, because we've got a race coming up in Fort William. And Fort William's going to kind of place it. If you're going to kill a tyre, it's going to be there. So might as well put on some fresh rubber because, you know, it's funny. You know, do the YouTube thing and like and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Let us know what tyre insert combos and pressures are your preference in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.